He was a gift to me. A very good friend of mine gave him as a gift. He keeps an eye on me, makes sure that everything is going well. I sometimes feel very guilty because of my life. I feel as if I have everything I could possibly want in life. And yes, I'm a very happy person. So, speaking about happiness, I do get mail. This person said, "You seem very happy. Why am I not happy?" Well, I can't answer that question because we're all individuals. I don't know what it would take to make you happy. I know what it took for me to be happy. One of the things that I had to realize was that I was the center of my universe. Now, I know that's a very big statement, but in fact, it is so. In other words, everything around me, everything that I see, everything that I hear, I am the center of all of it. All the knowledge that I acquire, my experiences, I am the center of it all. And once I realized that, I automatically assumed the responsibility of being the center of my universe. Now that's important because then I shed the belief that the devil made me do it, or that I'm doing this because this happens, or because of that news item, or because of this, that, and the other. No, I am responsible. So, one of the things that I had to do, and I can only tell you what makes me happy. I cannot tell you what makes you happy because we're all individuals. But one of the first things that I did was to shed religion. I realized that religion was in fact shackling my thought process. So once I shed religion and adapted a spirituality about myself, things began to open up. So I looked at my world from a spiritual point of view, not a religious point of view. And I found that one of the greatest teachers that I had was nature. Nature was my teacher. I go into nature with an open mind and I see the answers. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Outside my door, I have a butterfly house. And in that house, I have 3 chrysalises that will eventually become butterflies. Now, here's the point. For the longest of time, I actually believed that people were born, they live a horrible life, they die, and they would either go to heaven or hell. Well, somehow that just didn't sit right with me. So I went into nature and I found out that life itself is always changing. It's always evolving. And I took a good look at the butterfly, for example. So here you have a butterfly, was once an egg, tiny little egg, okay? That egg became a caterpillar, something totally different from the egg. That caterpillar then had a life as a caterpillar, and then it changed into a chrysalis, totally different than a caterpillar. It was a dormant state, or so it would appear. And then that from that chrysalis, the chrysalis then became a butterfly. That butterfly then laid hundreds of eggs. And there you have the cycle. Do you get it? So, I understood reincarnation in a totally different way. We are evolving. Then my question is, if we are evolving, why do we change? What is this transfiguration? What is this change between life and death? And then I realized that perhaps there is no such thing as death if you see the individual as a spiritual being occupying a temporary physical body. Now, Once I understood that, and that applies to me, then I had a different attitude about everything. My attitude then was, I am responsible. I am responsible for being the best human being that I can be here and now, right here. I cannot do anything about yesterday or the past. That was a different life. I cannot jump into the future. The future belongs through evolution, through natural changes. Isn't he wonderful? Now, speaking about attitude. Now, to me, attitude plays a very, very important part to one's happiness. I'll give an example of what I'm talking about. I was once stationed aboard a ship, an aircraft carrier, and on an aircraft carrier, there is no such thing as abandoned ship. You just don't do it. So, whatever is happening on the ship, you stay with the ship and you make the necessary correction. One night we had a massive fire on the ship, and I think everyone aboard the ship knew exactly what we were carrying. So, that night we lost 14 men. And on a ship, each firefighting team is called a locker. And in my locker, I think we all understood that we were not going to make it that night. If things go terribly wrong, we were all dead. And I think once we understood that as a reality, and I talked earlier about death and dying, then every single person in the locker decided that they're going to do the absolute best job they could in fighting the fire. Okay? As it turned out, we didn't have to fight the fire because the lockers are set up so that if one team is wiped out, another team takes its place. If that team is wiped out, another team takes its place. You understand? It's a cyclic effect, and this is designed to save the ship and the men on the ship. So, once we got the attitude, yeah, we're going to die, what do? We have a choice as to how we die. We die as men, not as cowards. So we decided we're going to fight the fire, and if we die, okay, so be it. So attitude is extremely important. I'll give another example of attitude. Recently, I went into a grocery store, and the clerk was very rude to me. Now, I could do the same. I could reciprocate and do what she does. I did not. I simply walked out of the store and, as fast as I could, try to regain my own composure, my own attitude, my own natural self. In other words, I did not want her to influence my attitude. You see how that goes? So, and the question is about happiness. Each individual has to decide what will make that person happy. Remember that happiness is a prerogative of desires. For example, if you have to ride a bicycle to work, you work 3 miles away and you depend on your bicycle. Having 2 flat tires will make you very unhappy because then you have to walk to work. If both tires are fixed, then that makes you happy because now you can go to work to perform the job that you're paid to do. You see what I mean? If you have a car that doesn't work, having a car that works would make you happy. It's all a matter of desires, okay? You live in a house and the house has 1 bathroom and that 1 bathroom is occupied. Having 2 bathrooms would make you happy because then you would have an extra bathroom and you wouldn't have to squirm and hold it while, you see, now you get my point, okay? So it's all a matter of desires based on your attitude. There are some things, though, that I think would help. One thing, and these are just my suggestions, and you're going to have to think for yourself. One thing that would make you happier, I think, because it makes me happier, is to choose your friends. In other words, don't have your friends choose you, because quite often when someone chooses you, they are actually choosing you because they wish to use you. That's not always the case, of course, but quite often. So you choose your friends. And having said that, I think it is good if you choose your friends based upon them being your kindred spirit. In other words, choose friends of like mind. That will always make you happier. Adjust your attitude. How many times have you gone into a store or a retail establishment and you're met with a clerk or someone with a bad attitude? Well, that's what happens to the other person when you have a bad attitude. Okay? The other thing I think that would make you happier is to try to be here and now the best human being that you can be. To me, our purpose in life is to be happy. And to me, happiness is being the best human being that you can be. That's my attitude. That's my belief. Anyway, so what you do is you control everything about yourself. Take a look at yourself as being the center of your universe, and try your best to control everything that you can control. Identify what those things are, and then you control everything that you can control. Another example, this cottage where I live right here, this does not belong to me. I am a tenant. I am renting this cottage. The last time I talked with my landlord, she made it very clear that eventually this place would be sold and I'd have to find some place else to live. So I don't let that stress me out, because once she told me that, I now realize that I have options. One of the options, if it's going to be sold, is to meet her demand of sale. How am I going to do that? I don't know, but I do have a brain, and I can use that. The other thing is, while I'm here today, here and now, make the very best use of this place. The very best use of it. So that's what I do. So I control what I can control. Now, I know this is a very lengthy chit-chat, off the cuff, unscripted little chit-chat, but I wanted to do my best to explain that I cannot control your happiness. I can only do something about my happiness, and I have tried my best to explain what makes me happy. In the meantime, for right now, right here and now, do the very best you can to be the best human being in your quest to be happy. How was I?